was thinking I'ma do a little get ready with me while I tell you guys about my creepy stories that have happened to me. So I suggest you sit back and relax, and we can get all cozy while I tell you about creepy things that happened to me while I got ready. Okay, so my paranormal stories, or my creepy stories, are mostly about dreams that I had that either are mostly about dreams that I had, or dreams that I had that became reality, or dreams that I had that turned out to announce someone's death, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna start with telling my dream stories, and then the two things that actually happened that are scary and still in my head rent-free. So I am, as always, I'm going to start my makeup base with the road glazing milk. I just opened this one, so it's a new one. Some ring ASMR, I love it. So let's start with actually all of my dreams are quite frightening. Let's start. So the first dream that I ever had that was quite scary and actually was announcing someone's death was when I was, I would say, 13. So I had an aunt that had suffered from cancer on her throat for quite a while, and she had just recovered and was cancer free, but because of the chemo she always had a very dry throat, so that's important for the story, unfortunately. It was a day after, 2 days after Christmas, no, a day after Christmas, like Christmas the 26th, and they were supposed to come over to our house at the 26th, and I went to bed that night not thinking about anything, and I dreamed of this aunt's face, her face, and how she was like looking at me, and then I felt my teeth falling out of my mouth. So if you are not Italian, or if this isn't your superstition, you might not know this, but in Italy it is said that when you dream about your teeth losing your teeth, that means that basically one of your relatives is in danger or is going to die, or something important to you is going to fail, or something important to you is going to go bad, or something like that. But for sure it's said that something bad is going to happen to either you or your relatives. So the crazy thing is, I woke up because of sirens from the ambulance that were driving up our street. And now you have to imagine, like, if this is my house, like my mother's aunt was living on top of the hill and we were beneath the hill, so it was like 5 minutes to walk there. and her husband was a diabetic. So the moment we heard the sirens, I sprinted to the front and I was like, Mom, and she was like, oh, I'm so scared, like maybe my uncle is having problems with diabetes and maybe he like collapsed or something, or he's just not feeling well because of diabetes, you know. So I was like, no, Mom, it's her, something happened to our aunt for sure. And she was like, no, that's impossible, like she's fine, what are you talking about? And then I told her about my dream and she was instantly very taken aback and panicked because she believed that I had dreamt of something that was going to happen. And so she tried calling my aunt, like her aunt and uncle's house, but nobody replied. Like, so we were almost sure that something must have happened. And then they walked up the hill to go check on them, and wouldn't you know it, she actually was the one who was being carried away by the ambulance. Like, apparently she was about to eat breakfast and she swallowed a dry piece of bread that with her throat that was always dry. She was always supposed to drink something with it, but she forgot about it and basically choked on that piece of bread, which is so tragic, and I'm still so like moved by that because it's kind of crazy. Like, she beat cancer and in the end she passed away because of a piece of bread that got stuck. Yeah, so she actually did pass away, not right away, but like 2 weeks later, because she was declared to be brain dead, and they couldn't do anything for her anymore because our uncle was in the shower and hadn't realized that she was choking when it all happened, and before they could like call the ambulance, it was too late. So that was one of the creepy dreams that I had that actually unfortunately turned out to be true. Yeah. So yeah, until this day I'm very like, I feel some kind of way about it because, you know, she was one of my favorite relatives we had, and it was quite sad. And I still feel like it's crazy that I actually dreamed that that was going to happen, you know. But I've always had these kind of dreams. In fact, if you're interested to know, this is the Hourglass concealer in the shade Silk that I'm using now. Actually, the next story is also a dream that actually is about the same family and my grandmother. So if I look this way, it's because I have my mirror over here, so I can see if I blend it out correctly or not. So don't mind that. Anyway, the next dream is about my grandmother and the same family. Her brother, actually, that was the husband of the aunt that passed away in the first story. It was 2020 actually when this happened. Both her and her brother, like my grandmother and her brother, had decided to go live in like care facility for older people. I don't know how you say that in English correctly. Like a care home for elderly people, because they both had every single night at like 2 or 3 and sometimes 5 times at night when they would call, because they would not know where they were anymore and they would confuse things. And we all thought exactly that meant that they were starting to have dementia, so we all thought it would be best, and themselves as well, if they were to move in a care facility for elderly people, so that like they would not struggle as much. So they both moved in together, and we thought it would be like good for them because they would still have each other, and they lived like next to each other in the rooms, so they would always meet up for coffee and stuff. So we thought it was going to be fine. Now that was the time where I moved to Japan for like before 2020, like 2019, I had moved to Japan for a while to study Japanese in a school. But if you saw my question and answer video, you wouldn't know that. So yeah, if you're interested in that, there is a video where I explain it more in depth. Anyway, I had just come back from there because the pandemic was starting to rage in Japan and everywhere, so we had just come back from Japan, and we were kind of helping my mom to clear out the rental flat that my grandmother used to have before moving into the care facility. And like every time we were in that house or flat to move things out, it kind of felt strange, like it was her end chapter of her life. I don't know how to describe it. It kind of just felt like closing her life chapter. It sounds so strange, but I hope you know what I mean. It felt like something was about to end. I always had this pressing, nagging feeling that something was going to happen. Now, it was not specifically on that night. Also, I am using the Charlotte Tilbury, I think it's called Glowgasm. No, Beauty Light Wand in High Blush. Ah yes, the Glowgasm, exactly. And it was not that night when we moved out the things, but when I had a dream, and I'm telling you, this dream still scares me, and it was not like a normal dream. It was not like the dream from the story before. It was super intense. It felt so real and weird, as if I was in that place for real. So we were like, I dreamt that I was going to visit my grandmother, and I stepped inside of the flat that she used to live. And at that point, she had already lived in the care facility for, I would say, well, she moved in January, and it must have been like April when I dreamt about it. So 4 months in, about 4 months in. So it was not that I was dreaming about the flat because we had just moved things out. It was like 4 months later. So in this dream, I had stepped into her flat that she used to have, and I remember that it felt like it was her flat, but like it looked like it was her flat, but it was completely different. Like the edges of the dream, like this periphery of the dream, was blackened out. It felt like everything was so dark and cold and like kind of like, I don't know, in this very weird like room. I am going to do because everything was like I knew it, but at the same time not. But like, of course dreams are this way, but it just felt very different. I'm sorry if you should hear anything outside. There's a storm going on and I'm not sure if it's kids running home screaming or the wind howling. It could be both as well. Because I'm filming this in the afternoon, because I got another big video that I'm going to film tonight. Or tomorrow, let's see. It's actually lightning outside, like there's lightning and thunder, so... Oh, did you hear that? So we got a really cozy mood to tell these kind of stories today. So if you hear that, it's not put in purposely, it's actually happening outside. So when you would walk in, you would have the kitchen right away, and you could see the kitchen table, or that was also the dining table. So that's the first thing you would see when you entered the room, which was also what I saw when I entered the dream. And at the table was my aunt that had died, like my mom's aunt. I keep saying my aunt because in Italy you call everyone zia, so aunt anyway, even if they're not your direct aunt, so bear with me. And I saw her husband, so my grandmother's brother, and my grandmother sitting at the table, and they were all wearing hospital gowns, and they were talking to each other, and they kind of didn't even acknowledge that I was there. They were saying things like, now I can finally breathe again, like I feel so light, like I can finally breathe again. That's what my grandmother kept repeating. And my uncle was like, yes, it's actual paradise here. I mean, look at me, I got my legs back and I can walk again. So for context, he was a diabetic that didn't care that he was diabetic, and he continued to eat and drink things that he wasn't supposed to. So you had to amputate both of his legs, meaning he couldn't walk anymore, and he actually had a wheelchair. And yeah, my grandmother was fine at that point, at least, except for the dementia-like fits that she would get, where she would forget where she was and what time, like what year it would be, because she would keep talking about people that had already passed, or people from her past. So when I woke up, I had this very, very like doom kind of feeling inside of me, and I was like, I'm sure that they are going to pass away, because throughout the whole dream my aunt was just looking at me like very sad and nodding her head and looking at me without saying a word. So I told this dream to my mom, and she was like, well, you know, sometimes we just dream weird things, but I could see in her eyes that she was scared for that to happen. And I kid you not, 2 months later, my uncle, so my grandmother's brother, passed away from cancer in his stomach, not stomach, intestines, from cancer in his intestines. And a few weeks later, my grandmother would have passed away from cancer in her lungs that we never knew of. We found out that she had had a huge tumor in her lungs that was, I think, like this big, and she couldn't breathe, and she was like keep saying that she couldn't breathe. weeks before she passed away. She broke her leg and she couldn't walk anymore. And when they x-rayed her, they saw that. Mind you, this woman went to the doctors every single week. And they didn't see it. So, the fits of dementia that she had wasn't actually dementia, it was confusions that she would get from the infection in her body because of the tumor that nobody knew of. And if you caught on to what she said in the dream, she would keep repeating that she could finally breathe again. Which is wild, because I didn't know she had lung cancer. Nobody knew until she broke her leg 2 months later, and then passed away because of this tumor. So it is creepy that I dreamt of their deaths, and at the same time it's also super sad. Yeah. Another wild dream that I had regarding the same story is that on the day of the funeral of not my grandmother, but her brother, I dreamt that of my aunt, like the one from the first story, so his wife that was looking at me like this, saying, "Please tell my 2 daughters that they should not forget about this, please." And I kept seeing a comb. And like here in Europe or Italy especially, it is common to put people's favorite belongings into their coffins. So I told my mom, and she immediately called my cousins, like her cousins, like the daughters of my mother's uncle, and they had actually forgot to bring the combs, so they had to go back to go get it because they had forgot about it. He was a very elegant man that used to always comb his hair back, and he always had a comb with him. So, yeah. Now, I think this video is getting long, but I still need to get my lips done. So, I would say I will tell you one more story. I'm going to apply some bronzer. As you know, my beloved Charlotte Tilbury one. So this story is actually something that physically happened to me, my best friend, and my sister. Yeah, we were invited to our friend's place, like her father's place, the house she grew up in anyway. And we often do that, where we meet and just watch movies, like fun movies from the past, and have snacks and dinner and talk to each other. And so we went over to her place, and if you have seen all of my scary story videos, she also submitted one story, like my first viewer story, and she told about the ghost in her mirror in her house. So her house is quite scary, not gonna lie. I like being there because it's a beautiful house, but I'm also scared whenever she leaves or when it's dark outside and I'm supposed to wait alone somewhere while they go to the toilet or something. I'm always scared. That night we were watching a very old German movie, like an older German movie that is like a comedy with Till Schweiger. I don't know if you know him. Probably not. If you're not German speaking, you probably wouldn't have heard of him. But anyway, it's one of our favorite movies. And we put that on and we were laughing and everything. And then my second. Or she went downstairs to get something. Like she was. I have powder in my nose that looks kind of suspicious. I swear it's just this Chanel powder. It's not even my favorite one. It's the one that I have at home because I forgot my other one at my mother's place. So, and she was like, "I will be back soon." And me and my sister looked at each other. We were like, "Okay." And now, for context, you have to imagine that the couch that she has is very small, and it faces a window. Like she has this very big house that the whole front of like one side of her house is all just made out of huge floor to ceiling windows. So it doesn't help with the creepiness, does it? So it's basically like just the whole side of her house that the couch is facing is windows, and she doesn't have a TV. We were always watching movies on our laptop because her father doesn't believe in TVs. So we were talking to each other, laughing about the jokes in the movie, when all of a sudden there's a bang, 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 super loud on the windows, and we screamed. Like we were so startled. We started instantly screaming, and the banging just wouldn't stop. But guys, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go around the corner to see if it's this, like if it's one of the windows that somebody is banging on. And I stepped. Like, it took everything in me, everything, to like step in front of these windows, because we all have seen horror movies, we have all heard horror stories, especially probably we in this community. So you can imagine what it means to like look at huge floor to ceiling windows and seeing someone on the other side. But I walked over there, and there was no one. Like, there was no one there, but the banging kept on going. And we just screamed and ran towards the toilet, and we were like screaming our friend's name. And she was like, "What is it? What is it?" And we were like, "There's banging on the windows." And she was like, "It's just probably my dumb neighbor that always does shit like that. He's a lunatic." Like, and I was like, "No, there's no one in front of the windows. There's no one there." And it was banging when I was standing in front of the window, so could have been another window, maybe, but the sound was coming from this specific, like, window group where we were sitting in front of. So yeah, that was quite scary. So yeah, I'm going to finish doing my lips, and also a new thing I love to do is to use this Essence freckle pen. I think it's just $3 or $2 or something like that. I love to use this one as a lip liner as well, because it stays on for quite a long time. It kind of smells bad though. Then I just rub it in, and I maybe add buffer it into the skin. But then it looks super cute, at least I think so. And that's what matters, isn't it? So yeah, that being told, I hope you enjoyed today's scary stories and dream stories, like kind of weird, maybe, oh god, weird, maybe even paranormal stories that I experienced myself, and scary dreams. And with that being said, I would really appreciate for you guys to maybe turn in your stories so that we can have a cozy little community where we share stories together, because I kind of feel weird about using Reddit stories lately, and I would much prefer if I could use your guys' stories, like viewer stories of creepy paranormal or creepy non-paranormal, whatever. You have stories that we could enjoy together. Yeah, so I'm going to leave the email below, or you can contact me if that would be something you would like to do. And yeah, I hope I will get some stories to read to you very soon. And yeah, I'm gonna finish off the look with a little bit of this lip gloss. I think it's empty. And that's the finished look. And yeah, I hope I will see you guys in my next video. That is going to be very, very, very exciting. Because I have four missing people cases. Oh, and this is just a bronzer that I put in my hand, so don't mind that. And four missing people cases, weird missing people cases that I have researched for you guys, and that I turned into small little stories that I'm very happy to share with you guys. And I hope you will enjoy this new format or series that I have planned. I hope you sit back and relaxed a little bit, and I will see you